Be sure to check out episode 1 of this series to see my art process from the start. In this episode, I'll be talking about step 3, the line art. Now we're done with our refined sketch, so I'm going to once again lock this layer, turn the whole thing blue, and lower the opacity. Alright, let's do this line art. I always do my line art in clip on what's called a vector layer. These things are amazing. I don't believe every program has this, but in Clip Studio, when I make a vector layer, it makes the lines, I think just a little bit cleaner, and I can do this nifty thing, where you can erase things when they cross. So I can erase this, and it will only erase up to this line. And it is super useful for when I'm drawing, and maybe I'm like doing this ear, and I'm going like that, and I can start drawing this line right here, and then I can erase it, and it will only erase up to this line, and it makes your lines look super clean, and I love it. I always do my line art on vector layers. It's very useful. And the brush I use for my line art is actually a custom brush, but it's not complicated at all. All I did is I took the G pen and I duplicated it, and I made it so it had no pen pressure. So that's why it's titled G pen with no pen pressure. I title it that. It's literally exactly what it says. It's just the G pen, but with no pen pressure. The reason that I have this G pen with no pen pressure is so that all the lines are the exact same size. Like you can see, even if I push down harder, it's the same size as if I push down lighter. And I do this because I want to manually adjust the line weight. Line weight is what we call how thick a line is. So, for example, if I draw lighter with the regular G pen, it's going to have a lighter line weight, and if I press harder, it's going to have a heavier or thicker line weight, and this gives your drawings so much depth. Line weight is so important. That's why I don't use it. No, I'm just kidding. I do use it, but I use it in a different way. So what I do with my drawings is I will do my drawing with no line weight right here. And then I will go to a tool that is called Correct Line Width. It's down here. It helps me manually edit the weight of my line. So here I'm going to do Scale Up Width. And what that's going to do is make this line right here thicker. Look at that. It's becoming thicker. And I can do that here too. I'm going to make that thicker, and I'm going to make this thicker. I always do thicker lines in places where you can imagine there's a shadow, because if light is hitting from up here, then the shadow is going to be underneath right here. This is why I like to make the lines heavier, like in the lower parts that you can imagine are underneath where the light is hitting. And I'm also just going to thicken right here because it's kind of like a slope, and I think it's natural to put a little weight there. And I don't usually lighten the lines. I only lighten them on places where they fade out. Let me explain. So I'm going to go to Scale Down Width, and this is going to make it so I can adjust my lines and make them thinner. But I kind of drew with the line that I want to be the thinnest part, and then I would just adjust how thick I want the lines to be. However, we can see that Yoki's hair tapers off right here. And it doesn't look so great that it tapers off, but it's kind of the thick line right here. So to taper it off, I'm just going to lightly swipe right here with my Scale Down Width. And I think that that looks so much better than it just having the not scaled down. Because if you can see, let's take a look at this. So this is what's scaled down, and that's not scaled down. It just makes the drawing look more coherent, and it makes it look more natural. So let's get into the actual line art. I'm going to start line arting with my G pen, and this step is pretty straightforward. I just trace the sketch with my lines. So I'm going to do that, and then I will talk to y'all when the line art is done. Oh, and one more thing that I want to talk about that I use when drawing is stabilization. This is a beautiful tool that makes your lines very smooth. So let me show you something. So I'm going to trace my sketch with stabilization off and show you the difference. So when I have stabilization off, it makes my lines shakier because it's, I think, more sensitive to my pen input, like the way I'm drawing. Maybe my hand is a little shaky, and so it will appear a little shakier. So you can see, like down here, it's very shaky. But if I turn my stabilization on, I usually have it at 45. It will make my lines very smooth and not shaky, which is very nice. So there's that and that. So this right here is with no stabilization, and you can notice just the more shakiness in the lines. And this is with stabilization on, and you can notice that the lines are a lot smoother, and I'd say stronger is a good word. So that's why I use stabilization when I'm line arting, because it makes my drawings look very strong, I believe. So yeah, I'm gonna line art this and then talk to you all when that is done. Okay, while line arting, I just remembered another tip that I want to tell you all. So I want to draw this big shape and then connect it right there. And you can see the line doesn't exactly connect. I can do my best to get it to connect, but there is actually this useful tool called vector magnet. And when you enable that, it will connect lines basically when you want them to. Look at that, it connects it. It connects the lines, and it is very useful because it, again, makes your lines look smoother and just more coherent because they're connecting in the places you want them to be. So I just thought I would tell you all about that tool. It's another tool I like to use. That is vector magnet. And once again, another useful tool that I remembered to mention is this object selection tool on the vector layer. You can select the lines that you've drawn. And so right here, I wanted to move this line up a little bit. So I just select this line and then I can adjust it like so. And I think that's also super useful. And it is another feature that comes with the vector layers. But yeah, I totally forgot, but I'm also going to do another little sketch layer to add some clothes onto Yoki. I don't know how I forgot to do that, but I did. So all I do is I just do another sketch layer and I'm just going to sketch over it. And then I'm going to be erasing the parts that won't be visible because she'll be wearing clothes. So I'm going to draw her, I'll draw her just in a hoodie because I like drawing hoodies. Okay, and then I'm going to duplicate this layer, this refined sketch layer, by selecting the entire layer and doing Command-C, Command-V, and that will duplicate it. I'm going to hide one of them, and I'm going to erase just the parts of the body that her clothes are covering because that will not be visible. I'm just selecting and then clicking the delete button. I believe that is right here. Edit and then delete. You can see it's the delete button for me, and that just deletes anything in the selection. And then I'm going to make this full opacity, turn it black, and then I'm going to merge the clothes down so they're on the same layer. It's going to be this button right here. This is the merge button. merge with layer below, so I'm gonna click that, and now it's one layer. Gonna turn it all blue again, and lower the opacity, and I'm gonna get back to line art. I totally forgot to mention, but in order to enable that vector eraser, you have these three choices right here. You can enable it by clicking vector eraser, and you can choose one of these three options. This option right here is the erase up to intersection option, and that is what I use. And it's very helpful. Alright, so I've got this line art now. Something I was thinking about that I didn't do in this drawing is a lot of the times I give my characters pupils like that, but since this is a chibi, I think she just looks cuter with no pupil. But yeah, so we have this line art and it has no line weight yet, so I'm actually going to adjust the line weight and let's see, so I'm going to do scale up width, and I'm going to do it in places where I believe there should be shadows. And we have the line art all done. I honestly love doing this step because of how clean I can make my art look. I'll be talking about my coloring methods in the next episode, which I definitely think I have a lot of tips and tricks for. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.